All right. Hello and welcome. Happy Friday, everybody. Just wanted to take a little bit of time to do an update. Um, let's see here. So, a couple of very interesting things happening. Oh, this is also cool when it loads in. You can see all my underground farms where I keep the livestock and everything. And I should fix that at some point. Make like an ethical nature preserve or something like that. But anyways, we'll get to that one day. So, what are we doing right now? Let's go ahead and just chop some trees while we talk. We're gonna stock up on some lumber. So, but anyways, at least two main major things is I finally have the blueprint laid out for the cats. So that's a CAT, a concern and thought. And my thinking behind this particular tool is a discussion and a communication tool that allows people to debate and argue without having to rehash the same arguments and rebuild the same debate as before, because there's a lot of wasted potential energy in that process. So every time you go to talk to somebody about something, there could be a straw man, which honestly I was misunderstanding. A straw man is not where if it's not one thing, it automatically defects to another. That's like drawing straws, and that's why I thought a straw man was, which that's more pigeonholing, where if it's not in your frame of thinking here, then it has to automatically, or maybe even a binary situation. But even that's hard to really talk about because there's so much anger behind binary, non-binary, and all that as far as gender is concerned. So it's almost pretty much ruined the word. Like, I mean, and not really ruined, but it's added extra friction to the word and the concept. So anytime you bring up anything and say binary, which is funny because for computer scientists, that's a very logical thing to say in casual conversations. Like, oh, binary notation or this number is in binary format, it's either a zero or one, like that's the only possibilities. Or if you're trying to decode things at the assembly level, like with actual instructions and all of that, then yeah, you're going to need to know binary and how to convert to and from that. And that's actually one of the first things you learn in programming classes is how to work with binary numbers, where it's just one of two options. I guess it could have a third option where null, but honestly, the way that ones and zeros work, at least from my understanding, and again, my understanding is limited by what I know, but it's as far as networks are concerned, there's more of a range to tell if it's supposed to be a one or a zero. It's not a clean cut like, oh, that's a one, that came in solid. There's nothing else that could be. That's a one. And sometimes it's like the amplitude and the frequency of the electrical charges, like to mimic this is a one, this is a zero. And I remember reading, because I never actually took an official networking class. I tried to, but then my plans changed and all that. But I still was reading through the book, and that is one of the things that it talked about in there is like just the signal frequencies and signal strength. Well, actually, not even frequency. Frequency often goes with signals, but no, it's the signal strength. Like, and that's why I was like thinking amplitude, but like, um, it's like, there's a range here that these are a one and then this is a zero, the absence of an electrical charge. And that's how they communicate from, buzzy zappy electricity to, oh, here's a whole file full of ones and zeros that actually makes sense to a machine. And that the machine can read and interpret and work with. So, and then go back to where it can make it human readable, which is another step. But anyways, all that to say is a cat. Basically, the simplest unit of that understanding is I want to get to a point where somebody can say, what's your cat on that? And it's a nice catchy phrase to say, hey, where's your research and, where are your points of contention against this person? And like, why are you mad at this person in this situation or this law? And why do you like it? What are the pros and cons? And it basically mimics the blue book, which in Colorado, every election or every major election, we get these little blue books, and they're literally like a little paper booklet with a blue cover, and that's what we go by. We have everything that's being voted on in that blue book, and it's discussed so it can catch people up on the actual issues. Like there's the argument for it, there's the argument against it, there's a nice clean cut summary, because people don't have time to really dig as deep as they need to really understand what they're even voting on half the time. Like politicians know this, and they rely on people's emotions, and that's how you get Nazi Germany. Now, okay, yeah, we went way stretch there. and I'll go a little deeper into that here in a second. But the reason that these cats are so important, and I didn't intend it to be cat. I was just like, how do I describe this? I was like, well, these are my concerns and thoughts. Like, concerns being a polite way of saying the things that I don't like about this particular person or law. And then it also helps you understand yourself a little bit better. Like when you write it out on a piece of paper in journaling, that's why journaling is so important. It allows your brain to really process and see alternate perspectives about it and be like, oh, wait, maybe I don't hate this person as much as I thought. And that's really what I thought about Trump, is because like I started watching some of his speeches and I started saying to myself, wow, I actually really don't hate this. I mean, some of this is concerning, yeah. But then after the speech, you got to sit back and think, okay, what did I actually hear and does it make sense? Does it pass the sniff test, like they say in Better Call Saul in that one scene? But like, um, and that's really important. Same with the Democrats too. Like I am so tired of like thinking that I supported the righteous cause and like that's like the good, honest, even like I hate to say it, that's the good Christian thing to do is a lot of what the Democrats try to do. Now, granted, some of the corruption coming out is that if they're funneling taxpayer money back into funds for their campaigns, oh, well, see, that's not good because we're basically paying taxes for people to manipulate each other. And then it's bad on the conservative side because they've got people that are pouring money in that are intentionally wanting our politics to be manipulated in their favor and that are really trying to buy the government. So it's not good in the other direction. In which, a simple solution to that is to enforce all public elections have to be made in an equitable way where anybody can run, anybody can be successful as a politician, regardless of wealth or social status. Like that's where we need to be. We need the meek to really inherit the earth and to be in positions of power because otherwise the people with the power are going to continue to keep the power without letting it trickle down or transfer to anyone else because then, and they know they've already screwed up the system so much that if that does happen, although they think they know, that's a scare. It's like they think that if they do allow like the average person to have a say, then it's going to turn into a purge. And then we're going to start hunting down the people that did it and knew about it and didn't do anything. Well, and I think that's important with the cats too, is because it needs to be communicated that much like any business, you inherit whatever was done before you. Like if in your role, whoever your predecessor was worked in a certain way, and now if you're taking over for them for whatever reason they left, fired, quit, whatever, you are now the new that person, and you are to do the same job or at least similar to what they were trying to do. And so it's a big thing in management, like trying to understand how to explain how to accomplish tasks and goals and how to be successful in a position without actually being like, be like this person, be like Sally or be like Greg, like the person that was there before you. Like, she used to do it this way and she did really well. You can still do stuff like that, but you got to be careful because when you're comparing to people, then they're going to start comparing themselves to that person. And then they're going to start noticing things that aren't really important or relevant. And that's another thing about the cats is the significance and relevance of the point. So that's one of my biggest protests with Trump's stuff is he falsifies things, but he's not really like straight out lying, but he's like magnifying certain things. And it's not just Trump; everybody does it. He just does it to such an extreme to where it's like, wow, come on, dude! Like none of this was true. Like right now, I was just reading an article about he's boasting that he saw gas prices down as $1.98. And then there was a fact check on that, and thank you, Community Notes, where there's an organization that actively monitors gas prices for that exact reason, because they're tired of people lying and saying, oh, I did do so good, and oh, I didn't do so good, or this president didn't do that good because it's this expensive. No, people are tired of the lies, so they're taking it upon themselves to fact check and keep people honest. Now, this doesn't matter because he said it a couple times, and until he actually sees the data for that, he might be like, oh, okay, I guess I was wrong. 217 was the lowest seen, which is still pretty low, and that's only 19 cents off from what he was boasting. So it's not really that significant, especially with how much they've been fluctuating. Like, he just wanted to lie and cheat just a little bit, cut a little bit of that corner, and brag about it just a little worse than, or being a little better than it actually was. He could have just stayed honest and stayed Christian with it because it's against Christian rule to lie. That's the first thing. It is bearing false witness, especially when it's concerning politics or government, because you're ruling on a lie, and that's anti-Masonic too. First off, I'm not even a Freemason, but I do believe in a lot of a strong foundation, and that's what our country was made off of. Like, the Masons, they build things and they want to make it good and whole and solid and serving what it was meant to serve. Like, and that's how our government should be. It should be on a strong, sturdy base, not on a base of lies or anger or deceit. And I hate to say it, the Democrats have done it almost just as bad. Like, almost just as bad. And a lot of it's not intentional. A lot of it is like, people think they're helping and they will snip and edit the footage or the content to make it appear one way or another. They're manipulating the content to bear false witness on the actual situation. So again, very anti-Christian thing to do is manipulating a scene, a piece of information. And Trump was on the receiving end of a lot of that. I will admit that. Like the poor guy, well, okay, as poor as far as you can say, because he's done a lot of messed up things. But in these moments, he was the victim of laziness and malicious intent as far as communication. People, and actually, I offended that a few times. I sent out some very offensive memes and very hurtful things, and I can be pretty vicious, but it's just matching the energy and reacting in discussions. Again, why cats are so important, but like the good people on both sides, like if you watch the extended part, like the full statement that he did actually condemn white supremacists. I feel like in the first one, but I definitely saw it in a response when he said it. He said, yes, there are good people on both sides, but I will never, or he said something to the tune of like white supremacy and racism of that kind is never, okay. And he did make a pretty good statement about it. And it's just like, oh, okay. So he's not some heartless Nazi, like, at least not from that. Now, granted, and honestly, I don't think the Nazis even intended it to get out of hand like it did. I think that's a genuine example of just how bad things can get when you manipulate these tools and emotions to gain power. You actually rile up, it's like kicking a hornet's nest. Like you just upset all of these people in this colony or this country, and now they want blood, now they want revenge, now they want justice and all this, and no matter how much you can tell them, be like, okay, I need to walk this back. It takes a lot of bravery to say something like that, to admit you're wrong, especially when you're on a pedestal like that. And that's what Hitler did, was like, I'm pretty sure he realized through all that. And I'm not saying he's a good guy in any way, because he did do that. He used shortcuts to trick people into hate, and that hate led to millions of deaths. Like, so let's get that covered right away. Every time I talk about Hitler, like, no, I'm not supporting him in any way, shape, or form. He used shortcuts. He did it. He's to blame, and that's why he popped himself in the head there at the end of the war. He knew it was coming. But Trump is doing a lot of the same things. Now, not to the same degree, but he is using a lot of the same playbook to manipulate emotions and anger people, to trick people. Like right there, the gas prices. That's a trick. That is a lie. That is unchristian, and that is lying. Like if Jesus is real and if Jesus ever comes back, he might have something to say about that. Be like, hey, this didn't make me happy, you know. And how be that as may, whatever happens to him happens to him. But like, and that's the thing, is like he's out there selling Bibles, so like already Christianity should be pretty upset with him because he was making money, literally profiting off of people's faith. So that's a Joel Osteen and the righteous gemstones, and those people need to be called out. So. Anyways, the cats, the concerns and thoughts, they need to be out there because people are being seen as monsters and creatures because they support or don't support. And then people will automatically associate. And that's where I need to figure out what the actual term is. It's not a straw man. It's like drawing straws. Like your mind only understands that there is, a set finite amount of choices for what's really going on. And then there's an alternate perspective that you're not noticing because you don't know that it's not there. You don't know that it's missing. And then, oftentimes I'll see in these debates and discussions on XApp, as long as people are able to make it to where it gets to this point, they'll have a realization, be like, oh, wait, you're not some crazy person. You really are concerned about some valid points. Like, okay, let's talk about this. But it rarely ever gets there because most of the time people are so emotionally charged and angry. And because of these rallies, because of these things, and they only have a couple seconds to look at something before their attention is elsewhere, they got to get to work or something, to where then they just write that off in their mind as like, oh, the crazy Democrats, or oh, the crazy Republicans, or oh, the crazy MAGA, which is even like, or the crazy liberals, which is like the MAGA of Democrats. And like, and understanding that we are all just people out there trying to just figure out this mess, and we've inherited the mess of the people before us, just like at a job, all of the things that they should have been doing that they didn't get a chance to do, not through any fault of their own. It's just like, maybe there just wasn't time or situation or whatever. Like, there are many different reasons. Again, that's a whole pigeonholing. Like, if it's not this, then it has to be this, or like it's automatically this, or black and white. Like, it has to be like, more of a binary yes or no, or like one of two choices, or one of three, or X number of choices that you can comprehend. And then there's like a choice Z that you didn't even see or think about. That's an alternate perspective. And then it's like, oh, well, wait, let's just go with that. And then oftentimes there are things that exist like that in just about any one of these situations. And also understanding the clarity. So let's talk about so that guy that got deported, that he isn't part of the MS-13. Like, it's been going back and forth a lot. And now I've been reading things where like people that studied gangs and like actually know what they're talking about are saying that no, that's not an MS-13 gang tattoo. Now, it could be somebody like looking to try to join the gang, and it's their secret way of pledging allegiance to it without actually being like that. But that's the thing. It's not official. And I actually do have a little experience with gangs, not a whole lot, but you know, as a person that would take pride, well, let's compare it to a sports team. If you want to be part of that sports team, you got to show your dedication, and you got to show your, your fandom and your support and all that and all of this. But at the same time, you can't claim it. Then that's stolen valor. Like, you can't claim something without actually putting in the work. And that's the same. Military might be a better way to describe gangs and like how they operate. Like, if you're going to say that you're part of this gang, and part of that is because it comes with the perks of if somebody takes a shortcut against you, robs you, like attacks you, or, is disrespectful to you or something, then it's not just you, they're disrespecting the whole gang. And that's why gangs are such a thing, is because it is the community coming together. And that's off of South Central, that movie about the Crips, because that's what the Crips originally started as, and that's what the whole movie's about. Is like the Crips rallied together, they circled their own wagons, they tried to defend their community against the racial injustice that was very real and very happening. Again, not intentionally by a lot of people, but accidentally, sure. You get into that Batman where the guy's like, I didn't mean to intentionally waste your time. And the guy's like, no, just accidentally wasting it. Like, basically a slap across the face. Like, yeah, no, you're still wasting my time and I don't appreciate it. But, and saying it in a clever, fancy way. And Morgan Freeman's like, very good, Mr. So-and-so, very good. Or indeed, yes. But he got what he needed. So anyway, the cats. And it actually happened kind of interesting. So I commented on a post from probably the new governor, maybe, I'm hoping, because after Heidi Ganahl, I've been saying it wrong, I thought it was Ganahal, but it's Heidi Ganahl, I think, trying to trick people into thinking that kids were pretending to be cats in the schools, like, they were pretending to use a litter box and all this, and there was a litter box in the corner of the classroom, of one classroom, all this stuff, and manufacturing hysteria over people pretending to be animals, furries, stuff like that, and like, again, like pigeonholing people into a group or category in order to also attach the hate or prejudice or oppression to that label. And then, so everything's inherited, just like being labeled a gang member, and then you get all the good and the bad that goes with that, except when not. So that guy's kind of losing out. Like, he's not really with the gang, but now like he's getting the problem end of being part of the gang without really the benefits, because they're not going to be like, no, you're not part of the gang. Like, if you're part of the gang, you get literally MS-13 tattooed on you. Like, that's how they do it, and that's how this article is talking about. Is like they're very bold and open with their affiliation. Like, and that's part of why it's, well, anyways. And understanding the actual like underlying issues of that's a whole cat on that. And I'll do that. That's my cat on that. And then there's a link to a document, a Google Doc with all sorts of different sections and, key points for argument and debate, and just making it to where we can, yeah, I'm pretty excited about this, if you can't tell. So excited that I think this might be the last, excuse me, this might be the last Joker Tower. We might start the next season. So I also think I'm getting a little ridiculous with the count of videos for this. I need to, that's my problem, is like I put these things out too fast. I need to slow down, clean them up, organize them, add the links, go through, watch each one, and say, oh, in this one we talked about this, and then that's just on me to make my channel bigger, and I will. I'll put in the work. But for now, like the cats are more important. So, anyways, back to like what I was saying. So I commented on a LinkedIn post, which I try not to do because that's very public and it can go really wrong really fast. And I said, it was Phil Weiss, I think is his name. He's the Attorney General for Colorado. So, really important guy. And with my checkered background, I'm not exactly stoked to be talking so openly with someone like that. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? He is running for governor, and it's good that we get these out in the open. So I made a comment. It was a good comment. I wouldn't get in trouble for that. At least I don't think. And then it's funny because one of the people that I'm arguing with, and that's actually the driving factor for the cat, is because I know he's a good dude. I know he's not some monster, but some of the stuff that he says is just like, come on, man, like really this and this and this, like, and I see that he's being serious and sincere about it. So that's why I'm like, okay, well let's take a map out and let's jot down how you came to this conclusion to where you think this way, and is it real? Oh wow, we have a lot of wood now. Let's go ahead and replant some of the stuff. Whoops. I like to give it a border of like 1 block when possible. So I feel like that's my superstitious. Just like, I think it grows better that way, but honestly, this will work just as fine. And I know I proved that in past series or past playlists. I think in the Oasis, one of them, because that's exactly what I did. Is I only had 4 pieces of dirt in the middle of a desert, and they were growing trees. So as long as you do have the 2x2 section of 4, in a square, 4 blocks of dirt. It could be podzol or dirt, which is what this stuff is. Then it'll turn into that. So, anywho, and how we doing on time? Because I do have a meeting coming up. Yes, this is the middle of my workday. I took a break because I'm going to be doing a work thing for lunch and yeah. So, and it's okay as long as the work gets done. We're pretty lax about things. Because that's another thing too. Just knowing your body, knowing your limits, and being able to work productively and to fix the things that are preventing you from being a good worker, and then also enjoying the work-life balance because it's not always about work. Oh yeah, this is good. We needed a lot of fuel. And we'll go ahead and... So I've got a cat on Governor Polos. I've got a cat on President Trump. I've got a cat, well, not yet, but I'm going to put a cat on former President Biden. I'm going to put a cat on Kamala Harris, former Vice President Kamala Harris, because she was the DA of California, or the district attorney, or one of the attorneys that would actually punish people for weed. And that was one of the biggest arguments there was like, how can you speak out in favor of this when you were the one doing it? You were the one in charge of punishing people for this very thing that you're rallying for. And again, it's because she inherited a mess of prohibition, and that was the best that she could do with what she had. She's like, well, I got to follow the law. Like, this is what I got to do. So let's go ahead and cook up some more netherrack. And that's kind of like her mess that she inherited, and then she did the best that she could with it. And that, I don't know. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. And that's the other thing that I hope that these expose is like people like Chuck Schumer. I feel like he's just such a sketchy guy. Like, I mean, and my trust in him was basically eroded when I heard him on a hot mic saying, well, we're just going to pretend to do this, but not really. And that could have been about anything. Like, that was his integrity. And really, that's what all politicians are doing in secret. They will pretend to rally around an issue if they think it'll benefit them. If they don't think it'll benefit them, then they won't. Like, that's just human nature. Like, that's just covering yourself, like trying to make sure you're making the best decisions at that time. So, and that's where we got to unstick these people that are stuck. And it's a very delicate process, and we need to fix it because it's very serious. Like, a lot of ugly things are happening. And back to that MS-13 supposed member, whatever. Like, the problem is because he didn't have due process. He didn't go before a judge and being like, yep, let's kick him out. Like, none of these people are getting due process. And they actually are, like, they're kicking out people that aren't supposed to go, and then people that I don't know. And then it takes a while to finally let them out of jail on the other end. And what happens to them? Oh, sorry, oopsies, my bad. I did an oopsies. Like, that's it. Like, there's no punishment or repercussions for deporting the wrong people. Like, if anything, they're just like, yeah, well, look at all these good people that we did, that they did need to get deported or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, it's not how it works. Like, you can't just be like, that is that Jimmy McGill like saying the ends justify the means. Like the way that he did it, and it's very very scary and startlingly similar to what Hitler did, and that's why people are upset and concerned. Is like because it's literally out of that playbook. Like first you got to sow mistrust in the outsider. Like for Hitler it was Jewish people, gypsies, gay people, any non-white, non-Christian, non-blue-haired blonde person, which was kind of funny and ironic because Hitler was not blonde. So by his own rules, he was not part of the chosen race. So right there, that was kind of a dumb thing on his part, but whatever. And so again, it was because it was political shortcuts. Like that's how you did things. Oh no, these are still, they haven't matured yet. So that's okay. I don't really want to harvest them when there's like, then you gotta like pick and choose them and stuff. That's okay. I'll just leave the stuff there for now. But anyways, and then there's that article that I saw where it was like, was it Vanity Fair or I want to say it was like VH1 or one of the music articles. But anyways, one of Trump's ex-wives talked about how he kept a book of Hitler quotes by his bed and like he read them and stuff. He was studying how this mastermind, masterclass businessman, politician was able to trick an entire country into hating people and doing blindly following him with that blind devotion. And that's that padding of that ego too. Like, and you can tell, like Trump just wants his power, wants people to stop bothering him and like doing this. Well, and if he wants to do it, he's got to stop taking these shortcuts. And that's where the cats come in. Like, keep him honest. What's the cat on that? Be like, actually, here, you're full of it, and here's why. And that's basically like in a respectful way. And that's what's hard is it's hard to be respectful about those things when so many bad things are happening because of it, and then you don't see any real recourse. Like, oh, I guess he wasn't in a gang. My bad. Maybe I don't understand gangs because I'm not an expert in it. Like he thinks he's an expert in everything, and he thinks he has people that he can trust that are experts on it. But really, a lot of people are faking it till they make it that he surrounds himself with for that exact reason. Because the people that actually know what's going on are often like, hey, actually, this is kind of a bad idea, or hey, you probably shouldn't do this, and here's why. And like, but it's just a fart in the wind. Again, I love Better Call Saul. If you can't tell, that's it's in there too. All right, and actually, we got to get going. I have some things I need to tend to. We're about on time, but so basically, this I think is the end of the Joker Tower. First thing, I think I'm gonna split it into a new playlist, or the Joker Tower Part 2 or something, and then we're gonna focus on building that up, which I did add the lights. I think that looks pretty cool. It's not great for harvesting snow now, but that's okay. I'll figure that out. But I mean, plus I also have like, I think like half a chest full of snow blocks now, so it's not like I'm hurting for it. But anyway, oh, this place looks so cool. Oh yeah, and I started experimenting with this again. I'm trying to figure out how to make an automatic door. I really just want to understand. Also, I started doing this. I wanted to make sure or to see about changing this to all snow. And I think I am going to replace all this grass with snow. And this will just be a snowy part. But like the rest of it can still stay grass and be like nice for the villagers. I don't know. I'm torn. But I want to get this figured out and actually understand it. So I know it has to go under there. So this will actually activate it. But then there has to be like another redstone torch here to where it stays open by default, and then once you send a charge, it closes it briefly, and then once it lets go, and that's what I started to do here. I don't know, maybe let's actually just do this real quick. Does it have to go here, maybe? Or I don't even know. Like, that doesn't look like it changed anything. So, I mean, this part's right. Like, this part, having the torch there with a block above it, it charges those two and it keeps them closed, or it keeps them extended. And so then there needs to be a charge which briefly disables them just for while these are pushed, and then once they unpush, then the charge goes away, and then they close back up. So, anyways, I'm just still dabbling with that. All right, ta-ta for now. I'll see you in the next one. Most likely a Joker Part 2 or Joker Tower Part 2. And I will see you there. Well, I'll see you there in whatever we do. All right, ta-ta, and have a great Friday. Have a happy Friday and a great weekend. I'll see you there.